Welcome to Fabulous Women Over 40, hosted by celebrity stylist Kara Allan. Join Kara as she interviews amazing women, sometimes younger and amazing men as well, in their 40s and beyond. Here's Kara with our Fabulous Woman of the Day.
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to another inspiring episode of Fabulous Women and Men Over 40 podcast. I'm your host, Kara Allan, personal stylist and branding expert with over 20 years of experience helping women create powerful presences through their appearance. This podcast is dedicated to celebrating the incredible women and men over and under 40 who are redefining what it means to be fabulous at any age. My guest today is Jo Hoye, the dynamic owner of Hoye Fit, who is revolutionizing health coaching and weight loss for women, particularly those navigating menopause. That would be me. Despite being just 30 years old, Jo has dedicated himself to empowering women and moms to break free from restrictive diets, regain control over their midsections, that's a thing, and achieving lasting control over their bodies within an enjoyable lifestyle. Jo's journey to serving this group is compelling and unexpected, as he felt called to this mission rather than choosing it himself. Please help me welcome Jo Hoye. Thanks for being here with us today.
Thank you, Kara. I love that intro. That was a good one.
Don't you love a good intro? You know,
That was
it's
great.
always a good thing. So tell me, where did you grow up? And then what was your family life like?
Yeah, so born and raised here in Vermont. I know we just talked about that off air for a moment, but the house I'm in now is about 5 minutes from where I was born and raised. And I mean, I haven't gone far. Growing up, I had two stepbrothers. Sometimes they were at my house. Sometimes they were over at their other parents' house. And so aside from that, it was just myself and my mom. She was really my one strong, consistent role model growing up, which I think is really what kind of started to push me down this path in the beginning. Right. And then that path just evolved from there. But yeah, I mean, country boy at heart for sure. I like to just kind of be in nature and explore and just see what the world has to offer, because there's plenty of beautiful stuff out there.
Yeah, I love that. So what was the best part of your childhood, and then kind of what was challenging? I mean, you mentioned you had stepbrothers, and did your mom remarry or dad remarried? Like who?
Yep. Yeah, mom is remarried. Two stepbrothers, they're both older than me, and the three of us could not be any more different. Like we are just like the most eclectic group of brothers I think that exists. And we always had a blast. I mean, we grew up right next to a farm, and so my oldest brother was kind of a redneck, and he was always getting into hell, and that just made it fun for us because we'd follow in his footsteps and see what we could get into. But we learned from his mistakes, so we stayed a little bit safer and smarter. And then growing up, I eventually get to high school, and I think one of the harder things about growing up was starting to get picked on and bullied in a pretty serious way. Mostly verbal, but eventually like that stuff will get under your skin. I remember I got called gay and just like so many slang terms for gay for so long that like I started to question if I was gay. And it's like, I know I'm like a straight male, but am I actually? And so like that's the extent that it got to. And then eventually it got to like more of a physical altercation level as well, until one day I just kind of put an end to it. And once again, like that's just another stepping stone into why I got into what I do, because I got picked on because I was the small, skinny, slow, not smart kid. And I was like, I just got this chip on my shoulder of like, well, I'm going to prove all of you wrong. Right. And my mom, once again, the strong, consistent role model in my life, she's the one that guided me down this path. She's like, Jo, at 13 years old, she's like, Jo, I'm going to the gym. Do you want to come? It's the first day I walked in the gym. And I was like, of course I do. Like, I want to change everything that's happening in my life.
Right.
And getting picked on, like getting pushed down 2 flights of stairs, she's the one that was like, all right, Jo, like you got to put an end to this. And so she's the one that really guided me. And if it wasn't for my mom, I don't know what path I would be in, because number one, I had a really terrible mindset due to all that, but I was also kind of going down the wrong path. And she's the one that would always take me and point me in the right direction, get me going somewhere new. And I just really want to give back to that and thank her, because the way I see it, if I'm going to be a health coach of any kind, I want to impact as many lives as possible. And I think that impacting the head of the household, which we all know is the woman, like she goes to work, she raises the kids, she does all the chores, she does everything. She's
Right.
the one that's going to create all the impact for everybody else. And so if I can impact one person's life in a house, I want it to be hers, because then I'll
Yeah,
change a whole house.
that's so true. I love that. So, what advice would you give to someone, a younger guy maybe or girl that's going through that same sort of thing? Like, what would you tell them that you learned? What would make an impact for how to deal with bullies or just dealing with that whole situation of, feeling bad because people are picking on you and all of that?
Yeah, I mean, I know it's easier said than done, but this is coming from
Sometimes, yeah.
someone that has done it. And really, you just got to stand up for yourself.
Hmm.
Like, that is it. As soon as that happened, so I got pushed down that flight of stairs. I grabbed the kid, I took him with me because I had had enough with it. And by the time we got to the bottom of the stairs, I was on top of the kid. And like, after that, no camera. Let me change this. By the time that happened, I just decided enough was enough.
Yeah.
Like, that was it.
How long had that been going on by then?
Gosh, 3 or 4 years.
That's terrible.
I think we lost the recording. Let me try this again. But yeah, it was about 4 years. And on that day, like, enough was enough. After that, I truly stopped getting picked on.
Well, I mean, taking somebody down a flight of stairs with you probably gets around.
It did. They said, wow, Joe has had enough of this for sure, which was, it worked in my favor. So really just standing up for yourself and deciding that that's it. Enough truly is enough.
Okay. So what was your first job? Like, did you work at the gym first, or like what was the first thing you did for work?
My first job I got fired from. This is going to be a good story. So I worked at a grocery store. The reason I got that job is because I had known the manager. Her son was my age. We went to elementary school together and kind of grew up together. And it was in my town, one of the best places you could work when you were young, because they hired the youngest kids and it was right next to school, so I could walk there after work. So I was a cashier, just bringing up fruits and veggies and God knows what else. And the business-minded 15-year-old had this great idea, because they had this store card, much like other grocery stores have, that at the time it was for every $50 you spend, you would get 10 cents off every gallon of gas. And so people would have this store card and they would bring it in, they would rack up gas points and save money. And that's how they got customers into the store. But every once in a while, you'd have the customer that forgot their card. And so then you would just put on your little flashing light at the register. Your manager would come over and you'd say, hey, Jesse, can you ring up the store card for this customer? She would say, sure. Except I thought I was a little smarter than that. So I started using my card as the store card. And this guy here got free gas for about 6 months.
Well,
yeah, until I didn't get free gas, and they realized what I was doing, and they added up every single thing that I had accumulated. And they called in corporate, like these two big scary guys from New York, for this little 15-year-old. And they sat me down. They're like, all right, like, tell us what you were doing. And obviously I knew what I was in trouble for, but I played dumb and was like, I don't know. Was I texting at the register? And they're like, come on, kid, we know what you were doing. And so eventually push come to shove, and they're like, I was like, okay, I was stealing gas money and this and that. And so they're like, yeah, you were stealing gas money. Do you know how much? And I was like, no. Like, well, how long have you not paid for gas? It's like, it's been like 5 or 6 months. And so I forget the exact number, but it was like $1,200 of free gas that I got. And so they made me pay it back. And at 15 years old, I didn't have that money, but thankfully it was right during tax season. So my entire tax return went straight back to them. And then I did not have a job.
Well, I mean, it was kind of enterprising, I suppose.
Hey, I mean, it was kind of business oriented, but just not the right way.
So what did you spend your money on since you weren't buying gas? Like, what were you buying?
Oh God, silly kid things. Who knows? Food, taking my girlfriend out for like the Chinese restaurant, just stupid stuff.
Well,
Actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, I was a big saver. I've always been a really big saver. So yeah, it was Chinese food. It was a lot of Chinese food and crappy food. But it was also saving up, because at the time I was really into cars, so I wanted to buy the next nice car, because at the time my cousin from New York City had given me a free car. And a month later, it broke down in the gym parking lot. And it's like, well, I don't want that to happen again. So I'm going to save up, buy a nicer car. And that's actually where a lot of my money went to.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. I mean,
Yep.
you know, it was it was good for you, let's just say. Maybe not for people who aren't getting their gas. Hey, it is what it is, right?
Exactly. It didn't hurt them. I mean, it's not like I was taking it from the people that brought their card in. It was just the ones that forgot their card. So I figured I wasn't hurting anyone.
We always have a rationality for it, right?
Especially at 15.
Yeah, I mean, there could be worse things.
There could be.
But you know what I'm saying? It's not terrible. But so then when did you started working out with your mom at 13. So then when did you really get into health and fitness? Like you really knew what you were doing, you know what I mean? Like, and like your diet and all of that.
Yeah. So from 13 to 18, all throughout high school, like I said, I was the skinny, small, unathletic, slow kid. And I wanted to change that so badly because of that chip I had on my shoulder. And I couldn't, no matter what I did, no matter how much food I ate, how much I worked out, couldn't do it. I graduate high school about 5 to 10 pounds heavier than I was at 13. But when I graduate, I go into pursuing a career in the medical field. And with that, I was going to work in the operating room. With that, I had to take courses on anatomy, physiology, nutrition, kinesiology, and then I really got a good education as far as what the body needed. And I paired that with exercise and food, but also, like I said, I had just entered college. So like 99% of people in college, I started partying, treating my body poorly, drinking beer. And the 145-pound Joe went up to his goal that I thought I wanted to weigh of 190 pounds. But I didn't stop there because I was partying and treating my body poorly. I ballooned all the way up to 225 in about a year and a half. So I gained like 80 pounds.
Wow.
And then I had a new problem. I was still not super happy with myself. I still didn't reach my goal. I was still unathletic, except now I was overweight instead of underweight. And I really didn't love it. And so I cut the partying, I cut the drinking. I really dialed in everything that I knew and applied myself. And I got the result I wanted. I eventually got myself down to 190, 195, which is about where I am right now. And like I said, I'm from Vermont, small little town. Everybody knows me. And they knew me as 13-year-old and 18-year-old Joe that was really skinny, 21-year-old Joe that was overweight. And now they see me and I'm confident. I've got my head up, my chest up. I'm looking people in the eye when I talk. I'm confident in myself. They're like, well, Joe, how did you do that? How did you go from super skinny to overweight, really shy and awkward in both? And now you're confident. How'd you do it? And I had enough people ask, and again, earlier I mentioned that business brain, enough people asked, and I was like, well, this is actually something that I think I'm going to help people with, and I can make a few dollars with. So I graduate college, I get my job in the operating room, and on the side, I'm running these 6 or 8 week online weight loss challenges. And transparently, I thought I still wanted to help people like me. Young men either gain muscle or lose fat and be more confident. And so I start marketing this, just talking the way I usually do, just like I'm talking to you. And I start getting these signups, but I never pay attention to the names that are signing up for the group. And on Sunday morning, the first challenge, I open up my Zoom screen and I start coaching and I look back at all the faces looking at me and none of them looked like me. A lot more of them looked like you, Kara, and my mom and ladies in midlife. And it's like, well, what happened? How did I do this? And so what I think happened is just because growing up with my mom as the most consistent person in my life and hanging around with her and her friends and the people she spends time with, I just started to talk and communicate with them in ways that resonated with them. And that carried me through to 22 to 24 years old when I started doing this. And I brought in that audience. And by the end of that 6 weeks, number one, I created massive results for them. But number two, is super fun. Like the women I coached had fun. I enjoyed it. And so I continued to roll with it. But at the same time, like I said, I was working in surgery. I was never a surgeon. My job was to help the surgeon with the procedure. And so my first job I kept for a pretty short time. It was like a year and a half. I moved to a closer hospital that paid more. It's just a wise decision. On that team, it was myself and 6 other girls. And they thought it was a great idea to stick the one male in this role inside the OB and the GYN based rooms. And so again, I'm pushed into this demographic for the next 4 years. It was 3.5 years. And I'm doing 40 hours a week of surgery on the female body next to surgeons that have spent their entire adult career learning about how the female body works and functions. And so I'm taking that knowledge from them and I'm starting to apply it to my clients that I'm working with outside the OR.
Right.
And so that's kind of where my story comes full circle. It's like, I want to give back to my mom because she's going to create the most impact.
Right.
I resonate with them and I have a blast every single day. Number 3, I understand their body insanely well. And so with that combo, I like what I do and I'm good at what I do.
Yeah. And it doesn't hurt that you're a good looking guy. You probably, when you walk in, they're all like,
No, it probably doesn't hurt, right?
No, use that all and everything you have to your advantage. That's all Jesus.
That's it.
So then how did it come about that you started working with women who were going through menopause specifically, other than just women in general?
Well, it was just the demographic, right? So like at that time, my mom was, she was about 50 years old. And so I was attracting people of that demographic. And so then it naturally just turned into like, okay, well, not only are they in midlife, like they're entering perimenopause, they're in menopause, they're post-menopause. I need to start learning about this. And so I just continue to dive deeper and deeper down that rabbit hole and just educate myself as much as possible, because that's what's going to create the result, is understanding who these people are and how I can help them.
That's such a unique thing because, I think I was in perimenopause when I was early 40s. And then like I was starting to get the hot flashes and whatnot. And then all of a sudden the girls showed up really big for no reason at all. I have no idea why. But then it stopped. And then I started having issues again when I turned around, I guess, 50 or like right around 50. Just really heavy periods, things like that. And then just like all, because they don't really know. Oh, we lost you again. They don't really know. There's so many symptoms that could be considered something else too. So it's just hard. And then like men, your husbands or boyfriends or whoever, don't necessarily understand what you're dealing with, and let alone how to deal with you dealing with it. If that makes sense.
Well, I think it even gets worse than that, because, and I'll pick on myself, but like we're the ignorant bunch that just will never understand what's going on because we're not going to experience it.
Exactly.
But the person that should understand what's going on, regardless of their gender, is your doctor.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I hear from our clients and our community members of like, hey, I went to my doctor, and they said, it's just part of life. You just need to experience it and go through it and you'll be fine.
That's helpful.
Yeah. And it's like, well, that's not true. And I actually have this inside look at it because I got to ask the doctors I work with. I was like, hey, can you teach me about menopause? Because I want to help my clients more. And a lot of them, because it was just them and myself, they'd be transparent. They'd be like, well, Joe, we got about 4 hours inside of our 8-year program on menopause. Like, I can't help you that much. I don't get it.
Yeah.
And these are not GPs. They're not general practitioners. These are OBGYN doctors.
Right.
So like, to be misunderstood by the person that's helped you stay healthy throughout your entire life is a massive letdown.
It is.
Yeah.
Because then you're like, what am I supposed to do then? If the doctor don't know, how am I supposed to know? Just dealing with it. Because even when I started going through it, I asked my mom, I was like, how was when you went through menopause? She's like, I don't really remember. And I'm like, either it was so bad she blocked it out, or, it was so mild she doesn't remember. It's either way. So then it's just like, okay, that still doesn't really help me. I still got to like deal with what I'm dealing with and figure it out. You know what I mean? Because even my doctors haven't been that particularly helpful with it either. So it's just like, okay, we're just
so did you figure it out?
Not really, because I think what I asked my nurse practitioner about getting my hormones tested, and she was saying the only thing with that is they can fluctuate so much it doesn't necessarily help. I don't know, but that didn't make sense to me. I was like, wait, if I have a baseline, at least I know if they're out of whack at all to begin with, and then we can figure out if there's something I need to do, because the hormones or hormone replacements or whatever people are doing now to figure that out. I'm not having a hysterectomy at 52. That's insane. Like, why would I do that? That's going to be a whole nother issue. So it's like, what do? You don't, just sort of stumbling through it and see what happens. So.
Yeah. Well, I'd be happy to help you like off the podcast.
Well, that'd be cool. Yeah, we can have a little convo about it, because
for sure.
I don't know, just sort of trying to figure it out. And I have another
Anytime.
girlfriend a little younger than me, and she's having the same issues as I am. So it's just like,
Mhm.
nobody really, no, her doctor's not helpful either. So it's like, what do we do here? So
We'll at the very least get you pointed in the right direction.
that would be helpful.
Yeah.
For sure. So
Right.
tell me a little bit about your programs. Like you said, you had like 6 and 8 week programs, or is that are those the baseline ones you have, or do you have specialized ones? How does working with you in one of your programs look like?
Sure. Yeah. So that's how it used to be. And just like anything else, as we do it for a long enough time, we get better.
Mm-hmm.
And in the beginning, I thought that was the best model because that's all I knew. But realistically, I think that was probably one of the worst things I could have done because it was one person, it was me helping
Yeah.
a large group of people,
Right.
assuming that what I'm saying is going to work for all 80 to 200 people. And it's not the
True.
case. Every single
Yeah.
person has a different life
True.
because you and your friend that you just mentioned, you're going through similar things, but what works for you might not work for her.
True.
And so
Yeah.
we switched to one-on-one coaching. And so at this point, I have a team of 4 that work under me. They're
Mm-hmm.
all certified coaches in one way or another. Our head coach is a registered dietitian. And we work with our clients only one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just because that's how we create results. Yes, we're going to impact less lives throughout the year,
Yeah.
but every life we impact is going to be impacted in a much larger way. And I'm
Right.
positive they're going to get to keep the results. Whereas
Right.
before, maybe somebody could lose weight in that 6 weeks we worked with them, but they didn't have the tools afterwards to go out on their own and keep those results while living a normal life. And so
Mm-hmm.
now we take our clients through 3 phases. Our first phase is what I call the diet detox phase. And that's really just detoxifying somebody's body from the damage that has been done to them from past diets.
Right.
Because like if you're a 50-year-old lady, chances are, and I know that there's always one case that this isn't accurate, but chances are you've wanted to lose weight for more than just the past couple months. Maybe you've
Mm-hmm.
wanted to lose weight for 5, 10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
So you've probably dieted on and off or done something for 5, 10, 15, or 20 years.
Yeah.
And that creates a massive stress on the body.
Yeah.
And when your body's stressed, it's not going to lose weight. And it's also going to make your symptoms of menopause or perimenopause 10 times worse.
Oof.
So
Okay.
the first thing we need to do is take that stress away from the body,
Mm-hmm.
improve quality of life, and
Right.
make it so that your body's working with you rather than against you.
Mm-hmm.
And when we see that happen, then we can dive into fat loss. And
Okay.
that's our second phase. The goal is never to put somebody on a diet. I actually believe the best diet is the one that works for you. So if you like keto, let's stick to it. Let's just figure out how to make it work. If you
Yeah.
love eating carbs, I trust you more because carbs are amazing, but let's keep you eating carbs.
Yeah.
And that's really our belief system is we just need to find what works for each individual person because
Yeah.
like I said, we're all different. And then lastly, there goes that camera. Lastly, I think it's going to
Not
be really
letting you be
important.
great. What's happening?
I know it's really not. I don't know why it's doing this. I think it's really important to teach people how to do this for the rest of their life because
Yeah.
losing weight is only half the battle. Keeping it off is going to be something that lasts a whole lot longer and is way
Mm-hmm.
more important. So before we ever let a client graduate from the program, we make sure they don't need to track their food for the rest of their life.
Right.
We make sure that they don't need to meal prep on Sundays like a maniac and they can just live a normal life
Yeah.
in the body they like. And if they can do that, they're free to go.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how we go about our coaching.
Nice. And like you said, I like that idea because you're impacting the whole household, because my kids are grown-ish. Let's just say my oldest daughter is 30. So, and then I have a 28-year-old and I have a 20, almost 24-year-old son, but I also have 4 grandchildren. So they're running around the house, and so because I don't cook for everybody in the house anymore. That's what I'm trying to say. It's more like my husband cooks for me because I don't cook as much unless I have to. But still, I can impact him, with what we're eating. So then that makes a difference for us, going forward. And even for the kids, because I do cook for the kids sometimes. So, but it makes sense for the average household. Yeah, the mom's cooking for everybody. And so you need to have some healthy but fun ways to eat and cook because you don't want to be eating brown rice all the time if that makes you miserable. Like nobody wants to eat dirt. I'm sorry.
Exactly. Yeah, we don't want like that classic bodybuilder diet of chicken, rice, and broccoli with no seasonings.
Oh, God, kill me now.
Yeah, exactly. I
Well,
did it, and now I make sure everybody else avoids it because it sucks.
yeah,
But I mean, we see it all the time. We just
yeah.
had a client. I'm going to give her a shout out if she ever listens to this. We just had a client named Autumn,
Mm-hmm.
and man, when she came into the program, she was so shy and she really wanted to succeed, but she didn't know if she could do it. And
Mm-hmm.
last week, her husband came into the kitchen and was like, "Hey, I set aside some time. Can you show me what you do in here? Because like it's clearly working."
Yeah.
And oh my God, she got on our call and she was the happiest girl ever. Like the biggest smile. She's like, "I got to tell you what happened." And she
Aw.
was just in love with it. She's like, "My husband asked me for help because he sees that it's working, and now I got to teach him all the things that you taught me." And my son was here, and like he didn't say anything, but I know he heard it.
Right. Exactly. That's
And
super cool.
that's enough right there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's gotta be really rewarding for you to be able to have those types of results and affect people's lives like
7 years later, it never gets old.
that. So do you have any like future impact plan? Are you writing books? Are you gonna like I don't know, what's your future plans for your business?
Yeah. Wow. So I wrote a book. It's called The Diet Detox. It's
Okay.
completely free to everyone. It'll walk them through the first phase that I explained.
Mm-hmm.
No punches pulled because I realized not everyone has the resources to afford our coaching. So I just want
Right.
to help as many as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, in the middle of this month, July 15 to 19, I'm hosting the largest online midlife summit that's ever been created
Oh,
called the
super
Midlife
cool.
Makeover.
Mm-hmm.
It's 5 days. There's 30 speakers inside of health, exercise,
Nice.
mindset, nutrition, and menopause.
Mm-hmm.
It's taking up just a little bit of my time right now, but it's going to be worth it. And
Yeah.
again, that's free to everyone because I know not everyone has the resources to afford coaching. And so I just want to see people succeed and be healthy. And that's what the book and the summit is about.
Mm.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's where we're at. I don't think I'm going to hire more coaches because I love the team. I love the culture we have. We're
Right.
helping a lot of people right now, and I'd rather not mess it up. So we're
Yeah.
going to stay right here.
Well, eventually, it's always good because then you'll be able to help a few more people. But it's
Yeah.
good when you're in a good rhythm to kind of let that ride for a little while.
Yes.
For
Yeah, it
sure.
feels good right now. I'm staying here.
So tell me, are there any shows or books or reading that are making an impact on you that you want to share with us?
I can't reach it. So I have a book that I just ordered. I have not dove into it yet, but it's called Principles by Ray Dalio. And
Hmm.
it's both life and work principles. And it's something that I really want to get clear on for myself is like, what are my core principles and how can I define them to myself and other people?
Mm-hmm.
Something I'm reading right now is Limitless by Jim Quick.
Okay.
It's actually a book that I ordered for that client Autumn as well that I just
Mm-hmm.
mentioned a second ago. But the author had a really big learning disability when he was younger,
Hmm.
and he had pigeonholed himself with this fixed mindset of I can't accomplish anything because I have such a slow brain, I can't learn.
Mm.
And he is the complete opposite now. Like he has mastered his brain
Yeah.
and his growth mindset and the things that he knows he can accomplish, and it's just him kind of like giving that to the reader.
Yeah.
So for anyone, I would recommend that. It's just going to give you a different lens to look through for life. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's really helpful.
Yeah, for sure. Because anything you tell your brain or yourself, eventually, what did it was it? If you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Yes,
Either
exactly.
way. So we got to work on the positive thoughts.
That is so right.
Everything. So what 5 words would you use to describe yourself today after everything you've been through in your life so far?
Resilient.
Mm-hmm.
5 words. Geez, that's a lot of words. Resilient, funny, smart, kind, and persevering.
I love that. That's super cool. So you mentioned all of your summit coming up. How can everyone jump on board with that? You have a website or
Yeah. So I'll give you the link. We can toss it in the show notes. But to
okay.
keep it simple, it's just summit.hoyefit. So my last name, Hoye, and then the word
Mm-hmm.
fit, FIT.com. And you can sign up there. Like I said, it's completely free.
Okay.
We have some massive speakers.
Sounds like it's going to be super cool. What legacy do you want to leave the world?
Oh boy. I just want to show people they can do anything they want.
Mm-hmm.
Like the further I go inside of personal development and inside of this business, I just continue to shatter these boxes that I put myself in.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, no one on this podcast knows me like I know me, but
Right.
I had put myself in so many boxes as a kid inside of anything.
Yeah.
Education, sports, being funny, making friends,
Mm-hmm.
any box you can think of, I had stuck myself in. And like, I'm outside all of them. And I'll never put myself in a box again because I've seen the amount of things I can accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a special person. So
Yeah.
I just
Well,
want
you
other
are a
people to
special
realize
person,
that.
but not a special person. That's
Yeah, exactly. Like,
no.
I just want to see people believe that. And
Yeah.
I think I'm so passionate on this because I see it in our clients.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen them remove themselves from every box as well because they come in and they're in hundreds of boxes. And by the time they leave, they've stepped outside of all of them and they're never going back in. And like, so I've seen it in myself. I've seen it in hundreds or thousands of clients, which means everybody else can do it too.
Yeah. I think a lot of it is our self-talk because people don't really listen to themselves, right? They're always saying, I'm on a fixed income, or I can't do this, or I'm this, I'm that, but like you are whatever you say you are,
Yeah.
And it's really reprogramming people to, start speaking about themselves in a different way. Even the Bible says death and life is in the power of the tongue. So it's like you got to learn how to speak about yourself and other people,
Absolutely. The
And the
quote I
thing
really like
Mhm.
is, and there it is. The quote I really like is, if you argue for your limitations, you get to keep them.
Exactly. You'll always have them.
Like, go
Stop
ahead. Tell me
arguing
why
for
you
your
can't do
limitations.
something. You're absolutely right.
Yes. Stop arguing for your limitations,
Mm-hmm.
for sure. So what platforms are you on that people can connect with you? Instagram, TikTok? Where can everybody find you?
I would not recommend anybody tries to find me on my camera today because that's not working. I would recommend people try to find me on Facebook or Instagram. That's probably where I'm most active.
Okay.
You could just type in my name, Joe Hoye. I've also coined the phrase that I am the man for fat loss and menopause. So if that sticks with you and not my name, give me a search there and I'll pop up. I think that's probably the easiest way.
Okay. Well, it's been really fabulous talking to you. I'm so impressed with everything you're doing. And you said that you had a free, was it 3-month coaching you wanted to give one of our listeners?
You nailed it. So I hit on this a couple times. I know not everybody has the resources to invest in coaching.
Right.
And I know that you and I just talked about some people arguing for their limitations. But sometimes people really don't have those resources, not right now at least.
Right.
And if it's not right now, it could change, but I want to help people now. And so what I want to do is for anybody that resonated with this and doesn't think I'm a bad person because I stole their gas money at the grocery store.
I think they'll get over it. That was a little while ago. If not, then you don't want to be bothered with them anyway.
That's a very good point. You're not my client.
No.
So I want to give away 3 months of free coaching.
Okay.
And that is a no strings attached, no nothing, no nonsense offer. Okay. There's nothing that we're going to try and sell you when you get in the program. And all you need to do is click the link that we're going to toss in the show notes. I'll need 4 things. I'll need your name, your phone number, your email, because that's how I'm going to contact you, tell you you're a winner. But the most important thing is your why. I need a compelling reason as to why you think you deserve to win 3 months of free coaching. And that is how I'm going to pick the winner. And I just want to change your life and show you that you can get outside any of these boxes you might be in as well.
Super cool. And that's really super generous of you.
My pleasure. I love it.
Okay. We will definitely throw those in there so people can throw their hat in the ring. And I would love to talk to you again later on our, maybe in a few months down the road and see what else you're up to. But it's been really a pleasure talking to you today, Joe.
I loved it. Thank you, Kara.
You're so welcome. And see us again on our next episode of Fabulous Women and Men Over 40. Ciao for now. Stopping. There we go.
Thank you for joining us today. Please subscribe so you won't miss our next conscious conversation with Kara and her fabulous guests. Follow Kara on social, on Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, Clubhouse, at Kara Allan, and connect with her on her website at karaallan.com. Also, leave a review if you enjoyed the conversation. Thanks again, and see you next time.